Facts First presents They Came, They Conquered, Then They Vanished. 10 famous people who just disappeared. Before we get started, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single video. Human one-hit wonders. We've all heard songs from groups that were one-hit wonders. These bands had one great song, and that was it. There are also human one-hit wonders. These are people who were in the headlines for a while and made news all over the world. The next thing you know, poof, they're gone. Have you ever wondered what happened to these people who had just 15 minutes of fame? They came, they conquered, then they vanished. 10 famous people who just disappeared. Tonya Harding. Tonya Harding's fall from grace was a hard one. In 1994, she was competing in the figure skating national championship, trying to earn a spot on the U.S. Winter Olympic team. Her biggest competition was Nancy Kerrigan. When a man smashed Nancy's knee with a police baton, she couldn't compete. Tonya went on to win the championship and secured her position on the team. It ended up being all for nothing, and Nancy healed very quickly. She won a silver medal at the Olympics, and Tonya finished in 8th place. When it was discovered that Tonya's ex-husband hired the hitman, she was banned from skating forever. Today, Tonya isn't skating because she isn't allowed. She had done a few celebrity boxing matches with a record of 2 wins and 4 losses. She appeared on Dancing with the Stars and sold a sex tape of herself and her ex-husband to Penthouse for $200,000. She lives a relatively quiet life in rural Washington. Had she never orchestrated a hit on Nancy Kerrigan, her life could have been much different. Sarah Palin. In today's political climate, the two parties cannot see eye to eye. It wasn't always this way. In 2008, Sarah Palin was running for vice president with John McCain running for president. When it came to Sarah Palin, people either loved her or hated her. She came off as a plain-talking soccer mom and made a series of embarrassing mistakes for the whole country to see. When her teenage daughter got pregnant, Sarah Palin's name was everywhere. She preached abstinence to everyone, and now she had a pregnant daughter. Her sister-in-law was arrested for burglary and trespassing, and Sarah had an affair. It was all too much for her husband of 31 years, and Todd Palin filed for divorce. Sarah filed a countersuit, and all of her dirty laundry was public. Sarah's political career and her marriage are over, and she reinvented herself as an author. In 2009, she released her memoir, Going Rogue. It sold 300,000 copies on the first day. She wrote a follow-up to the book called American by Heart, Reflections of Family, Faith, and the Flag. She's doing pretty well these days, living a quiet life. Elian Gonzalez. Elian was 5 years old when he fled Cuba with his mother and several other refugees. They were on a small boat heading for Florida when the boat capsized. Elian was the only survivor, and the U.S. authorities found him on Thanksgiving Day, 1999. He was clinging to the inner tube of the destroyed boat. Elian was brought to the U.S. and had no parents on American soil. His mother's family was in the U.S., but his father was in Cuba and wanted him back. The whole thing sparked an international debate. A decision was finally made, and Elian was set to go back to Cuba to his father. Unfortunately, his traumatic experience wasn't over. His mother's family didn't want to let him go, so federal agents went to the house to take him at gunpoint. Elian was returned to his father on April 22, 2000. After returning home, Elian became close to the late President Fidel Castro, who looked at the young boy like his own son. Today, Elian works as an engineer in Havana. Jessica Mcclure. In October 1987, 18-month-old Jessica Mcclure, aka Baby Jessica, was playing in a family member's backyard when she fell 22 feet down a well in Midland, Texas. Jessica was trapped in the well for 56 hours. It took so long because each time they tried to extract Jessica from the well, the ground collapsed. The entire country and various parts of the world were tuned in constantly, waiting for baby Jessica to be saved. After falling down the well, Jessica was very injured. She needed a total of 15 surgeries and had to have one of her toes amputated. While she was healing, people from all over the country sent donations to her family, which was put into a trust fund for Jessica. Today, she lives in Midland, just 2 miles from the well. She's a married mother of 1. Jessica works as an assistant to a special education teacher at an elementary school. Jessica says she doesn't remember anything about the ordeal and only knows what her family has told her. O.J. Simpson. Orenthal James Simpson, aka O.J. Simpson, had it all. He was one of the greatest football players of all time, and in 1985, he was inducted into the Professional Football Hall of Fame. When his football career ended, he became an actor. O.J. had a beautiful wife and 3 amazing children. When things between O.J. and his wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, fell apart, Nicole filed for divorce. In 1994, Nicole's friend Ronald Goldman went to her home to return gloves she had left at the restaurant where he worked. It was the last time he was seen alive. Later that night, Nicole and Ron were found in front of Nicole's Brentwood home, stabbed to death. O.J. immediately became the prime suspect. There was a mountain of evidence against O.J., and the pressure got to him. He led a low-speed police chase through the streets of L.A. in the famed white Bronco. The country was torn due to the racial issues involved in the case, and people worried that there would be rioting if he were found guilty. This didn't happen because, by some miracle, he was acquitted. This case was known as the trial of the century, and the entire trial was televised. Americans were glued to their TVs until the jury's verdict. After being acquitted, O.J. moved to Florida. Goldman family filed a civil suit against O.J., and they were awarded $33 million in damages. O.J. tried to avoid paying the family, but the court forced him to give all the proceeds of his outrageous 2007 book, If I Did It. He also had to auction off most of his valuables. On September 13, 2007, O.J. was arrested again. This time, he busted into a Vegas hotel room with an armed group of men to retrieve memorabilia he claims were stolen. He was sentenced to 15 years in jail for kidnapping and armed robbery. He was released on parole on July 20, 2017, and lives in hiding on a friend's estate in Las Vegas. Marcia Clark. Marcia Clark was the prosecutor in O.J. Simpson's trial. Everyone blamed Marcia for O.J. getting away with murder, and shortly after the trial, Marcia quit working for the district attorney's office. Marcia was able to get her revenge against O.J. when she was hired as a legal correspondent for Entertainment Tonight, and she covered O.J.'s trial for the Las Vegas kidnapping. She's also an author. To date, she has written 7 crime fiction novels. Marcia also created her own TV series, The Fix, which premiered on ABC in 2019. Lance Armstrong. From 1998 to 2005, Lance Armstrong was at the peak of his career. He won 7 Tour de France titles and a bronze medal at the Olympics. His success was even more incredible when it was announced that he fought testicular cancer and beat it. He was the nation's hero and launched Livestrong. Livestrong is a health and wellness organization dedicated to improving physical fitness. Lance was also in a great relationship with Sheryl Crow. The couple got engaged but never married because Lance didn't want children. He already had 3 from his first marriage, and he was done. He had the right to his own feelings, but just 2 years later, he and his new girlfriend, Anna Hansen, announced that they were expecting a baby. Everything came crashing down for Lance in 2012. It was then that the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency determined that Lance used performance-enhancing drugs. They also said that he used the most sophisticated, professionalized, and successful doping program that cycling has ever seen. He was stripped of all his cycling achievements and was forced to step away from Livestrong. Lance was hit hard financially, too, because he lost $20 million in endorsements. Lance is trying to make a comeback, and he co-founded Next Ventures, which is an investment firm that focuses on the health and wellness industry. Today, Lance is splitting his time between Austin, Texas, and Aspen, Colorado. Lance's fall from grace was pretty tough to watch. Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson is yet another athlete who fell from grace. He was a formidable boxer who came from nothing and went on to become the heavyweight champion of the world in June 1998. It took him just 8 seconds to knock out his competitor, Larry Holmes. He went on to defend his title 8 times. Unfortunately, he made some horrible decisions, and it affected his life. In 1998, rape and physical assault allegations were made by his first wife, Robin Givens. He also bit off the ear of his competitor, Evander Holyfield, during a boxing match, which people couldn't believe. Mike also got a very unfortunate face tattoo. In 2013, Mike admitted to the world that he was an alcoholic and an addict. During a press conference, he told the whole world he was on the verge of drying. Mike went to rehab plenty of times, but he continued to relapse. On September 24, 2007, he pleaded guilty to possession of cocaine and driving under the influence. He was sentenced to 24 hours in jail, 3 years probation, and 360 hours of community service. Mike was arrested again on November 11, 2009 for fighting with paparazzi. Mike pulled it together to star in The Hangover 1 and The Hangover 2. Today, Mike lives in Seven Hills, Nevada, where he cares for his 350 pigeons and grows marijuana. He's also the host of an annual music festival called Kind. NADYA SULEMAN, aka Octomom. In 2009, NADYA announced that she was pregnant with 8 babies. The story went from amazing to controversial very quickly after it was discovered that NADYA already had 6 children and she was receiving public assistance to care for them. It was also shocking that she got pregnant through IVF. People couldn't believe that this woman would get pregnant again on purpose when she could barely support her 6 children. Also, IVF is very expensive, and that money could have been better spent on her 6 kids. NADYA gave birth to 8 healthy babies, and she made history. The problem was that she couldn't afford to care for 14 children on her own. With no other options, NADYA tried to cash in on her infamy. She tried to get her own reality TV show, and she tried her hand in the music business, but NADYA failed at both. She ended up making an adult movie to make money, then started making appearances at strip clubs. Even this wasn't enough money, and she was evicted from her home when she couldn't pay the rent, and she had to go back on welfare. Finally, NADYA realized she couldn't cash in on her 15 minutes of fame, so she finished her degree to become an assistant family therapist. Today, all of her children are doing well, and the 8 babies are 11 years old. Which of these people was your favorite? Let us know in the comments, and be sure to subscribe to Facts Verse for more great videos.